Past Lives is a film that I'd been looking forward to for several months. Hearing about its release in the United States and the sheer love and critical acclaim it got over there and from the film circles that I follow only made me more impatient to see the film, wondering when the film would release here in India. And it finally did, and I watched it on opening day. And man, this movie is it. I absolutely loved it. Now, if I want to talk about this movie, I'm going to have to explain at least the basic plot of it, though I would hardly call it a plot based film. Nora and Haesung, two deeply connected childhood friends, are torn apart after Nora's family immigrated to South Korea. Decades later, they are reunited for one fateful week as they confront destiny, love, and the choices that make a life. If I were to describe the story of the film, it's pretty simple actually. In terms of story beats, nothing much really happens. There's no plot twists or revelations. Instead, it's about the shared glances, the silences that speak 1,000 words. Nora is a Korean student who leaves Korea with her family to the US. Her real name isn't even Nora, it's Now Young. But you see how Na Young and her sister have to change their names as they go abroad. It shows how immigrants have to almost let go of their cultural identity as they enter foreign land. And in the process, she leaves her childhood sweetheart, Hae Sung. And even the filmmaking in this film is beautiful. In that final interaction, you see them going to their respective homes, but this framing foreshadows their eventual separation. And this is basically what changes everything for all the characters in the film. When Nora reconnects with Hae-sung, it's as if nothing had changed. These two really start to connect, and it highlighted the main reason why the film worked for me. It's about empathy. These characters were people I could understand and empathize with and care about. And this is also a film I watched in the right place at the right time. I hadn't gone to see this film by myself, it was with a close friend of mine. Both of us had been eagerly waiting to watch this movie, and she's going to leave for a different city pretty soon, so this was going to be the last movie that we saw together. And this also happened to be just the perfect final movie to see. A lot of what the film focuses on coincidentally matched with whatever was going on in our own lives. About a friend separating and leaving to a different city, reconnecting former friendships through video calls is something I myself and all of us are familiar with. This movie just feels familiar. It feels like someone portraying life as honestly and truthfully as possible. A lot of the time, these characters, these people, felt like us, like you and me. The camera lingers on them, captures their behavior, their every expression. These are people with feelings of longing, love, loss, insecurity, and you see every bit of it in the words they speak, their tone, their actions, their glances. The filmmaking isn't glamorous, it's simple and effective. It expresses what it wants to tell you without saying anything. Through its precise framing, it communicates everything. And that's where director Celine Song's directing prowess really shines. When Hae Sung, Nora, and her husband Arthur go out to drink, and Nora and Hae Sung talk for what seems like hours, the framing slowly cuts Arthur out. Even when a specific shot would have space to include Arthur, it still decides to only show Hae Sung and Nora and leave negative space, making us feel the void that Arthur feels in that moment without us even seeing him. It's heartbreakingly portrayed. And man, the film also just looks gorgeous. I absolutely fell in love with how the film looked from its first frame. The colors really pop. And the grain, man, you feel its texture almost. The film feels tangible, crafted by hand. I could just stare at the shots of this movie for days. Even the score is something that's effective yet doesn't call much attention to itself.
What does this movie need, right? And sometimes, for example, when it comes to score, it was very much like, well, what does this movie need? Does it need big, sweeping strings and like overly sentimental something, or does it need something that leaves a little bit of there's a little bit of restraint and there's a little more room for audience to come to it with their own emotions, right?
And it's all in service of the story and characters. It enriches the overall cinematic experience. The beautiful lighting serves to show the longing on the characters' faces. It's like these two really want to connect but are also held back. Nora's husband Arthur could have easily been someone to root against, so that we'd feel satisfied when Nora and Hae Sung get back together. This is what a boring and safe movie would have done. Instead, this film deals with more complex situations and three-dimensional people, making the conflict only more relatable. The film is even aware of this cliche and points it out when highlighting Arthur's understandable jealousy. And I love that the film implies this trope and stays away from it. Instead of making her husband a two-dimensional evil man, he is also given depth and nuance. His jealousy isn't treated as something to antagonize him with. He's nowhere near a bad guy. He's a human being. He's flawed, scared, insecure. It's human. He never actively does anything wrong with these feelings. Instead, he voices it to Nora and holds a lot of the pain inside. He feels the threat of replacement. You sense the longing between Nora and Hae-sung, and the primary reason it works is because Nora had to almost sacrifice her cultural identity by changing her name to fit in within her new home. But upon reconnecting with Hae-sung, she's not only revisiting her childhood, but also reconnecting with her cultural identity, as Hae-sung calls her Na-young and only speaks to her in Korean. This forms a special bond between them. A bond that Arthur is jealous of, being a white man himself, not having known his wife since childhood. He even talks about learning Korean as a way of being close to Nora, to feel connected to her, to understand what she dreams about. The emotions here aren't in your face. It's subtle, and for us to figure out these people through their facial expressions and small gestures. Notice the framing of this shot here. Upon first glance, it may seem mundane, but the staging tells a story. Arthur and Nora are separated by this line. This is because Arthur's jealousy starts to creep in, and it starts to separate them slowly in this scene. Both of them are not even completely in focus, showing how they are not on the same page. It's really effective filmmaking. And this heightens the emotional engagement of the film, draws you in, and invites you to piece the puzzle one by one. Nothing is easy, it's morally ambiguous and complicated. Just like people themselves, it feels real and authentic. No one here is the good or bad guy. There are just people, people with hopes and dreams, people with loss and longing, people with love and jealousy, people who are not alone but lonely, flawed but good people, wanting what's best for each other. This is why this movie works. It just struck a chord with me like few other movies do. I may not be an immigrant or a husband, I may not have lived through the exact experiences that these characters have, but we all can relate to them on some level or the other. You can see yourself in this movie, and that's what movies are about, man. Past Lives is a simple yet beautiful tale about people, about their wants and desires, and about what role fate has to play in their lives. It's easily one of the best movies of the year. Go watch it in a theater near you. We have to support these kinds of films if we want to see more of what great cinema has to offer. Celine Song is a talented director with a unique voice. I hope to see more from her soon. Thank you guys for watching this video. Please do watch the movie if you can. And yeah, just like, share, subscribe, support the channel. It means the world to me. And yeah, see you in the next video. Bye bye.